I feel like it's something everyone goes through at some point, and I feel like both of us have been through it more recently. And like I said, finding a new creative outlet can really be helpful. Welcome to Life Unleashed,
the podcast all about creating the best life for you and your furry best friend.
If you're a dog mom on the go, juggling life, work, and the endless joys of being a dog parent, then you're in the right place. I'm Dani.
And I'm Nick.
And together with the incredible dog mom community from Tails Up Pup, we're here to share advice, stories, and the obsession we have over the love for our dogs.
Get ready to laugh, learn, and lean on each other because life with your dog just got even more awesome.
Welcome back. I thought it would be fun to start off with a high and low of your week.
High and lows?
Yes.
You first.
You can't think on the spot, neither can I. Okay,
I got one.
No, I got one. My high is that I took Callan to the library and we did the kids' story time, and I have never seen him thrive so much. He has been really shy when we've taken him to friends' houses and group gatherings recently, and he was shy when we first got there, but once he warmed up, he came out of his shell. He was talking to other kids by and he went up to strangers. He was singing songs with me and bouncing around. I just have never seen him so happy and so excited in his life, and it was so fun and special. So I definitely want to take him back. It's a very inconvenient time because it is usually during his nap time, but he didn't want a nap, and I was so nervous because I was like, he's gonna crash, but he was distracted by all the friends and kids and songs, and it was only 30 minutes. They read 2 books. They were short kid books, and we sang lots of songs, and it was just such a fun time. So that's just another thing, sometimes we want to do something, but we're scared to go. I had been to the library, but not in that room. I didn't know where I was going. A friend did invite me, but we didn't know anyone or any of that stuff. And it was just really fun because it was a bunch of moms with their young kids. We were all in the same phase of life, and it was just a fun time.
I feel like his little personality is starting to come out more and more, but around other people, I wish I was there to see that.
Yeah, so this age is our favorite so far. We're having so much fun, but his personality is coming out, but he has been more shy. So I'm this was really fun to see his personality. We take him to the gym, childcare, and we take him to our church group, and that's the most socializing that he gets. So this was an organized, gathering, and that was his first experience of that, and he definitely wanted to be the class clown.
Yeah, that's just like his dad.
Taking after you. He was embarrassing me. I was
what was he doing?
he was screaming when he shouldn't have been screaming.
During the reading?
Yeah. But
he's just talking.
But everyone thought he was cute. Yeah, and he's just a baby. He didn't know.
Yeah, my teachers always would be like, Nick, you need to be quiet. And I'd be like, but other kids are talking. They're like, yeah, but I can hear your voice.
Okay, let me guess. Is your high about your book?
Dani, okay, my high and low are actually about my book. Okay. So the high is that
No, start with the low.
No.
Okay.
The high is that I'm starting the editing process, and I've done all this world building, and I'm getting really excited about this next phase of the process of getting this book completed.
What is world building? You use that word it's nothing, but I feel
it's
most
common
people
language.
Won't know.
So when you're writing a fantasy book, you're creating a totally unique and different world. So you have to kind of come up with all the different little things. Some of the stuff obviously I'm borrowing from the experience of Earth and all of that stuff. I'm basically kind of writing mine is a medieval England-esque type thing, but it's not medieval England. So some of the customs are going to be different. The religion's going to be different. So if that's going to be different, I have to come up with that. What are the rules? What are these things?
See, as a reader, you don't really think about that aspect. You're just whoa, this is a good book. And you're learning a new world or something, but you don't think about someone having to create that.
Yes. And so I would say that I'm on the lower end of the low fantasy, so I'm not doing crazy stuff, but as an example, some of the stuff are easy in world building. If you say vampires or dragons or something like that, most people have a very decent idea about dragons or about vampires because you've heard these stories. But if you come up with a unique magic system or a unique religion, they've never heard that before. So you really have to kind of go deep and really understand it yourself to know what things you're going to put in the book and how you're going to explain it to the reader. So I spent a lot of time doing that. That part was fun. That's my high. The low is that as I'm getting into editing the first time, I'm man, there is a lot of work that I still have to do, and already know that my skill as a writer is not like where I want it to be to tell the story that I want to tell. So like I really have to like continue to practice my craft, get better at the writing so that the story comes out like I want it to. Because I have the story in my head, but like to actually get it out in the prose and to make it sound right, that's where I know that I'm lacking, and that's a low, because it's a low and a high. It's like I'm excited to do it and get better at it, but it's like, you know, it's kind of like you see somebody shoot a basket like on TV, you're like, I want to do that, and you go out there and try to do it, you're like, I'm not that good.
Yeah, that was my first question to you when you started writing this book, is like, okay, you have this great concept, but you have no experience in like writing like that. And so how are you going to do that? And I had asked you, like, can you hire someone to write, like after you get all of your ideas down, do you hire a writer to like write it in good form? And you said that's not really a thing.
You know, people do that. I don't think it's done that much for like fantasy, but like ghostwriting for
But
nonfiction.
is that ghostwriting? Like,
I thought so. I don't know what that term actually means, but like as an example, say you're a celebrity, and have somebody like, you're like, I want to tell like my life story. Most of those celebrities are not writing those books themselves. They're like, with so-and-so or whatever. They're hiring a ghostwriter to help them. But they're basically crafting the story, but the actual prose is being written by like a professional writer.
Yeah, that's a little different because like it's about their life. I feel like if you have an idea, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about ghostwriting.
I just want to practice and get my skill good enough to where I can tell this story that I want to tell. It's just going to take some time, I think. And I've heard, just as with many things that you try to do in life, like obviously you're going to be, not that good in the beginning, and then it's a lot of hard work and practice to get better. And so that's why some people say like it's 10 years to know if you can even be a professional writer, whether that's like starting when you're, 15 years old, like writing a book, and like then you're 25 now, you're probably good enough to actually publish something, or like me, 31, it's going to be 41 before I'm ready to do that. And that's if I can stick with it and do it every day.
Yeah.
So those are my highs and lows. You didn't give us a low.
No low from me. I feel like this is a fun time of year, Easter time, and having a baby for Easter is going to be really fun. We're trying to come up with like what traditions we want to have, but it is like a little weird because he's so young, he won't remember it. But I'm like, okay, we'll do the Easter basket. We'll maybe do a little Easter egg hunt, and like Nick's family's Greek. They always have lamb, so he'll get his first lamb. I think he'll love it. And lamb chops, like he's not getting a pet lamb.
He's going to eat the lamb.
Yeah, I feel like that's fun, like coming with our traditions. And also I'm thinking forward to his birthday, and I'm like, okay, what traditions would we want for his birthday? Planning his little theme. And I have been making the cutest birthday stuff for Simply Sweet Pea. Once I could get one customer on it, I like showed it, and now everyone's like, oh my gosh, I want this one. And it's been so fun. I feel like I have been battling burnout for a while, and so it's fun to do something new. We had talked about like a few months ago doing like the scrapbook and trying to get creative again. I did buy all the things for the scrapbook, and I have not sat down to actually compile the scrapbook. I have every single thing I need down to the glue and the photos and everything, but I haven't started compiling it. But I feel like this has been my new outlet, getting creative. For the most part, customers will be like, here's my theme. This is the products that I want. Like I want a high chair banner and a hat, but they're like, I trust your judgment on what you think is cute. And it's so cool that people think that I have, creative thoughts and I can make it happen. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I love it so much. And it's like, it's so rewarding. It's so cool. And I'm having fun getting to like create what I want.
You're getting better and better at not like second guessing yourself. You're getting into your own creativity, where like before you'd be like, I don't know, and like all this stuff, whatever, asking all these questions. And like now I feel like you're like, you know what, I actually am creative and I do have good ideas, and then you execute them.
As long as it's something that I can relate to. Like if someone was like, I don't know.
When I said make me some shirt about books.
No, that was still fun. Like this one girl with the Ninja Turtles, I just don't know enough about Ninja Turtles to like go creative. Like I literally just did a Ninja Turtle like she asked, and like she was fine with it. That was fine. But like this girl who was like Wonder the Sea, I'm like, this is so fun. So
you just wait until Callan gets into the Ninja Turtles.
I know. Then I'll be into it. When we went to the library, there were dinosaurs everywhere, and I was like, I know nothing about dinosaurs, but I know I'm about to know everything because Callan's going to teach me all about dinosaurs.
All about the dinosaurs.
That's what's fun though. Like you will not remember things, or you never had an interest in them, but when your kid's interested in them, you will be interested in them.
That is true. And I mean, it is fun. Like it depends if you come at it so I can see how it could be annoying. You're like, I'm done talking about the Velociraptor. But if you come at it in a good attitude, like you're literally like going to be learning alongside your kid, because like how much do you know about a Velociraptor? Probably not that much.
No.
And so if you're willing to like learn the things along with your kid, that's another like bonding thing. I feel like both of us are going to be like that.
Yeah. Okay, but I did want to talk more about burnout because I feel like it's something everyone goes through at some point, and I feel like both of us have been through it more recently. And like I said, finding a new creative outlet can really be helpful, but I feel like sometimes I'm like, okay, I have to just grind through my daily tasks, and one of those is creating a video or a photo to post on Instagram almost every single day. And for me, I hit burnout with that because I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot think of another idea. I can't always be creative. Like, I've done this already, and I really just hit a wall. And I feel like recently I've really been stuck in a rut of like, well, what am I going to post? I can't even have time in the day to come up with an idea or execute an idea. And so then I find myself, like a few days ago, I was just like putting the tripod around, filming my day in the life. And I'm like, when you don't have an idea and you don't know what you're executing, it just becomes mush, and it's like not good. And people don't, then it's like you're just posting to post, and what's the point of that? So I'm like, okay, you have to take a step back. And for me, creating lists really helps bring me back, ground me down, and think, okay, I don't need to post every day. I need to post when I have something good to post. And I need to-do lists. I need to come up with, okay, if this is too much and I'm burnt out, let's just pause. Like, we don't need to be doing that right now, and take a break. Like, taking a break can be really good for your mental health and your soul. And go for a walk, take a breath, and you can come back to it in a few days. And you'll be like, okay, now I'm refreshed. I'm ready to go. And if you're not, then you probably need to think about what would get you going again. And for me, it was these fun banners. It's like, okay, yeah, we do specialize in personalized kids clothing, but I can do birthday banners. Like, if that's what's bringing me joy right now, then that's what I'm going to focus on.
It is so interesting. I feel like I heard somebody like say this. It's not that you're tired or don't have energy. It's that like you're not inspired. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, that feeling when, and some of us, this could have been a long time. I know for me, it had been until I started writing. It was like when you literally like, you lose all track of time and you're just like super into something, and like you're actually just like in a flow state and really enjoying it, even if the thing is kind of hard. Like, writing for me is like, it's not an easy process, but like I still enjoy doing it so much so that like I can go downstairs and like 2 hours goes by and it's like, where am I, what happened? Yeah, I like it, just like, and I enjoyed that. And so like spending the time to find what that thing is that like brings you that joy is very important in like combating the burnout, I think.
Yeah, I think for the most part, like most people go to a job and they can feel burnt out in their job because, it is a job at the end of the day and you might not enjoy it. But finding an outlet in somewhere else in your life is what can bring you joy to like kind of grind through it and like, just know that that's just going to be part of your day, but you always have X to look for, like whether that's working out or going for a walk or like hanging out with your family or like cooking dinner, whatever it may be that brings you joy. Like, make sure you have something at least one time in your day that you can like sit down and have something for yourself. Even like for you, it might be cooking dinner. Some people dread cooking dinner. Some people enjoy it. So like, you just have to find what it is that brings you joy and have that be part of your day.
And I think one thing that is very easy to like fall into the trap of is like, oh, the thing that like I find joy in is like sitting down and watching a show. And now I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, and that definitely could be like your relaxing joy moment. But I feel like, to really find that like flow state in something that you really love, it is a little bit more of an active process. It needs to be like an active thing, whether that is like working out, whether that's writing, scrapbooking, something that is like, and it doesn't necessarily have to be creative per se. And maybe that's just like my personality talking to what I need. So, this could just be, what works for me, but something to where like you're kind of putting that engagement in, because it really isn't that like you're tired. It's that you don't have the inspiration to be like, wow, like this morning I woke up early and it's like I went down and like, read and like worked on my book. And so that was something that I wanted to go do. I was itching to go do it. That's what we're trying to get after. Something that makes you feel that way, that you just want to like every free moment I want to get to.
I'm sitting here thinking, why do we get to burnout? I feel like the number one thing is we want the end goal too quickly. We get so excited and we're like, I want to be skinny. I want to be strong. I want to have written a book. And you're like, okay, I want this. How am I going to get there? Okay, well, I want to be TikTok famous. Like, that's the big one that I've been seeing on my For You page. And they're like, okay, do you need to post 3 times a day? And you need to have this long of a video. And you need to be doing this cinematography. And it's like, okay, I can do that. And then you spend, your first 3 weeks grinding hard, doing all of this work. And then you hit burnout because it was not realistic. We're setting unrealistic expectations to get to an end goal too quickly. Nothing happens overnight. You can't just write a book overnight. You can't just be TikTok famous overnight. You can't just be strong overnight. Like, we were talking to our friend last night. She was like, I haven't been to the gym in like 2 weeks because I set a goal to lose weight. I was going every single day. I was, meal prepping. I had no time to do anything else. Like, how was I doing it? It was crazy. It's unrealistic. So I think that's why to-do lists and making, goals and a timeline can really help with burnout, because you're going to overload yourself, bombard yourself with too many things, not have enough time. And at the end of the day, you set those goals because you wanted to enjoy it. You wanted to enjoy writing your book or, going to the gym or, creating these videos. But then you got hung up in getting to the end goal too fast, which wasn't going to happen anyways. And now you can't enjoy it.
Well, the thing that's really, this is a little cliche what I'm about to say, but like, you do have to kind of learn to fall in love with the process of whatever it is, because even if you get to that end goal, guess what? It's not going to sustain itself. Like for working out, for instance, you get to that weight, that like image, whatever you're going for, if you don't continue to do it, you're gonna lose it. And so like, it's all about like, actually falling in love with like the things that you have to do to get there. And that, like, writing is a great example. It's like, okay, cool, you wrote that book, it's done. Even if it was great, now are you gonna write another one? And you need to fall in love with the process of writing. Then the end goals take care of themselves. If you fall in the process of in love with the process of working out, then the end goal is gonna be, you're gonna be fit for your life. Cooking healthy and things like that, you're going to be healthy the rest of your life. And so now some of the things, like some people might be like, I don't like working out and no matter what, but I know I need to do it. Then look at it more of like, this is something that I know that I need to do.
Yeah, and I think that when we get burnt out, then we end up never actually accomplishing the goals because we completely give up. Now, sometimes when you hit burnout, you have to keep going because maybe it's your job or maybe you committed to something, whatever it may be. But like if you were doing something for fun or you wanted to be strong and then you went overboard, then you might give up and never go back to the gym because you're like, oh, now I dread it because I feel like I have to go 5 days a week, or I feel like I have to do this. And that's the thing. Like, you don't have to do anything for the most part, but you should enjoy the process. You should be happy about what you're doing. And sometimes it might just be too much. You're overwhelming yourself, and it's okay to take a step back and breathe and come up with a plan of how it's going to be sustainable.
But not just a plan. And part of that plan, what do we do like to celebrate your TikTok stuff that you've been working on?
Oh yeah, we went and got ice cream.
I think little goals like that and little like celebrations are really important. I think that can help like, make it seem like, this process, I am like checking off stuff along, my road to that end goal, and those little celebrations help.
Yeah. Yeah, having little hooray moments, they definitely make it worth it.
One thing I did hear about like millennials our age about like why we seem to have some of the like highest burnout rates, and we'll see what you think about this, but it was like, we're working 40 hours a week. A lot of us, like when you consider the commute and all the other stuff, like it's more like 50 plus. We're doing that. The money that we're making hasn't gone up significantly. Life has gotten more expensive. So what ends up happening is, 5-10 years in the working world, we end up pretty much where we were before. Like maybe you now have the house and maybe you have those things, but you don't have any savings. You really feel like you haven't like advanced or, improved overall. You're like, I've done all this hard work, worked my butt off, done all these things, and what do I have to show for it? Mm-hmm. And so I think that could be something that like from an overall like societal standpoint makes it seem like, our generation does seem to have more burnout than others because you're trying to do all these things, whatever. And not that the like money and things like that at the end is the end all be all, but if you doing all the hard work and you don't end up getting the goal, then you're really like, dang, like what do I have to show for all my effort?
And a lot of times we go onto social media and we're seeing these influencers who look like they have it easy because they just had to film a video and they made $100,000. And it's like, oh, they get to do that. And I'm grinding so hard doing all of this and I'm not getting nearly anything in return. So I feel like, seeing people's highlight reels also is not helpful in comparing where you are and where someone else is.
Yeah, you stack what I just said with the comparison, and now you have a recipe for like, oh my gosh, I'm depressed.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel fair. I will say though, we were talking about this the other day, that almost no one gets overnight success on social media, and it seems like that because you never heard of that person. Like, you never heard of Alex Earl, and then all of a sudden she has millions of followers and she's like one of the most famous girls on social media. But she had been making videos for years before she became really famous. And so I feel like a lot of people don't think about that. They're just like, oh yeah, she blew up overnight and now look at her. And it's like, well, she did grind pretty hard before she made it. Even though she made it while she's young, all those things, like that's a different story. But these people did most of the time work pretty hard. Like right now, Kylie Perkins like just blew up overnight, and like she did gain 1 million followers very quickly. But she didn't just start making videos last night. Like, she was making them for a while, but then it finally took a turn and she had her moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think like even, the most famous YouTuber out there, Mr. Beast, talks about that. Like, it's like, I think he made hundreds, if not thousands of videos before his first one actually like got traction.
Yeah. I mean, even with us, like people who are starting a business are like, oh, like I want to be where you are one day. And it's like, you have to remember, we are almost 7 years in this now. Like, we didn't start yesterday and we're still a small business. We call ourselves a small business. And so like when people are like, oh, comparing my small business to yours, it's like, but we're 7 years. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's a long time. I mean, and there again, this kind of gets to like with anything that's really worth having, there's almost no shortcuts. Some people get it faster than others, but in general, I don't see very many examples of people getting something that's really worth having without putting in like the years and long hard work. It almost doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you can't shortcut the experience that you need.
That's so true. Yeah, you need the experience. You need to learn from your mistakes, and you will get better.
And again, if you're trying to compare yourself and you're like thinking about like, well, they have it easy and all these advantages. The thing is, the world is not fair. Someone's going to have more advantages than you, and someone's going to have more disadvantages than you. That's all. You can almost take that to the bank. So stop thinking about all that and just focus on yourself, what you can do to improve every single day. And if you just get a little bit better every day, that's the thing that's crazy that I think people like don't understand from the outside is like the little compound effects of like just these small habits. The gym is a great example, but there's so many things, whether it's making videos. It's like the first video you make almost guaranteed is not going to be that good. The first, line that I wrote, first chapter I wrote in my book, not very good. It's like, you just have to do that. But your 100th video, if you every time try to, improve a little bit and continue to practice, continue to do it, guess what? That's going to be a little bit better. And your 1000th video is going to be even better than that one. And so it's like, you just continue to level yourself up. But to do that, it takes time. It takes effort and it takes, consistency over the time. And that's the thing that's hard is people, and there's some crazy statistic, like, and I think this is for like podcasting, for YouTube, all the different things, for being an author of like, I think less than like 2% of podcasts make over 10 episodes or something like that.
Yeah,
like, it's something wild. It's like, wait, you're telling me that like most people give up after their first 10 episodes?
Yeah.
Like, that's insane to think about.
But then you think about having to come up with the ideas, execute. You had to set up all the, like, you took over our living room. You put the lights up. Like, you couldn't just, podcasts are different. Like, we have the video version. So that's why our setup has to be a little bit more extravagant. If we were just sitting down with microphones, it still would be a little bit easier. But then someone has to edit it. Someone has to upload it. Make sure it's uploaded on the right day, the right time, with the descriptions.
Like, and then you get no views.
Yeah.
you do all that work for, your first, 10, 20, 100 episodes with very few views.
Yeah.
And I mean that.
And it feels like you're doing all this work for nothing in return because no one's even listening. And it's like, you have to be consistent for so long before people want to show up and be there.
Right. Yeah. And there's so many other factors that go into it. Sure, luck is definitely a part of it, but like, a lot of it has to do with skill. And you can look at almost every single example of somebody that's successful in these fields of like, it just is hard. And of course, this is again the comparison thing, but like, yeah, people be like, it must be nice, they got in at the right time. You hear that all the time. And it's like, yeah, getting into podcasting in 2007 or 8, that was like the time. If you got into it then, there was way less competition. Your skill level didn't have to be as good to, if we were starting this then, maybe we'd have millions and millions of followers. Who knows? But guess what? I'll tell you what, if you start it today, it's probably going to be easier now than it will be a few years from now. So still, you'll always look back and wish you started earlier, I think, if you have any aspirations to do things like this.
Do you think with the turn of like people not being interested in long form content that podcasts are going to fizzle out?
No, I think people are still interested in long form content. I think that it's certain people are not, but I think there's a huge segment of like the population that is still interested in long form content. And I actually think the more people that like the TikTokification of content, I think it's going to like continue to spread into the two extremes. It's going to be the people that are like really going for the short form, like you have to do that super, super well. And then there's definitely going to be people like, no, I want more long form, like substantive stuff. I think podcasts and like audiobooks and things like that are still growing some of the fastest segments because people do want that type of stuff.
Interesting.
So there's a mix, and I don't know, but like the thing that I'll say is like, if you find a good movie to watch, like you're going to be entertained. You don't need the, highlight reel for the movie.
I might prefer the highlight reel for the movie.
Yeah, you might. But again, you might be the person that is, isn't the person that likes the long form content, but I think there are plenty of people that do.
I do like podcasts with two people because the going back and forth makes it fast paced enough for me.
Yeah, that's true. Or like if it's a good story. Some people are really good storytellers.
Some people, most people not. Unless you're my mom, because my mom loves to exaggerate everything, which makes for a great story.
She should write a book.
She does fabricate some details, though. Yeah. I'm like, was something like that? I don't know. You can't always believe her.
But I love her stories.
Do you have any final fun pizzazz to add? Not about burnout. About
I
life.
do have one more thing to say about burnout.
Okay.
I would just say that like I think that it is very normal, and it's a normal part of like any stage of life, whether that's work, whether that's a new thing that you're doing. At some point, I think it can turn into a grind, and that's where like your discipline and stuff comes in.
I wanted to add a segment, and we're running out of time. I thought it'd be fun to say what book we're reading at the time. And maybe we can remember to do that every podcast.
Okay.
It's like our mini book club, but like we're not having a club, but you might get inspiration to find a new book.
Okay. What are you reading?
Okay. My book is All Good People. I don't know what the author is, but if you type it in, you'll probably find her. And it's really good. I'm like 20% in, and it's a page turner. So I would recommend so far. Yes.
And I'm reading Malice by John Gwynne. It's good,
I think you have to tell us like the genre because you go all over the place.
It's a fantasy book.
Okay.
It's taking me a little bit to get into it, and I don't know, like some of these longer series and longer books are that way. So we'll see how it wraps up.
I did try to read, what's it called? The Secret Life of Addie LaRue, and I couldn't get into it, so I abandoned. Maybe I'll come back to it because it is a fantasy romance, a romantasy, and I'm just not into the fantasy yet. But maybe I'll come back. I think I was also swayed because all the people on my Goodreads didn't rate it 5 stars. So I was like, is this worth my time? So I gave up on it.
Dani, you can't look at the ratings beforehand, particularly with how you like want to go in blind, you say.
Oh yeah, that's my fun fact is I will not read anything about the book, no excerpt or anything. And I just want to go in and not know anything about it before I start reading. And it's a fun time. So I would recommend doing that.
I like to read at least a blurb. I hate spoilers, so I will avoid that, but I'll read the blurb.
Isn't that funny? I like spoilers, but I was like, actually, for my reading experience, I'm going to go in blind.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Okay, thank you guys so much for watching or listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.